Hi, friends. Welcome to the Hey Fundraiser podcast. I'm your host, Mary Hackett, and whether you are a frontline fundraiser, the operations professional, a board member, or just someone wanting to make an impact in your community, this podcast is for you. We cover all facets of fundraising, and our main objective is to give you ideas and inspiration to help you raise more money. Join us as we grow, learn, and make an impact together. Hey, fundraiser. Today, we are going to talk about metrics, and it's going to be joyful. So we should just jump right in. One of the things that I love about metrics, especially for annual giving, which is our topic for today, is that you get the chance to measure what actually should be measured. So a lot of organizations, I look at their metrics and I think, oh my gosh, I mean, they're like these vanity metrics out there. They're measuring things that don't really matter at the end of the day. And they're looking at things like, oh, we got 500 new Facebook followers. Well, that is great. And you need a social media presence and you need those followers. However, how does that translate into dollars? And however that translates into dollars, that should be the metric, not getting the followers. So there are a lot of shops out there, when they think about their KPIs, they are measuring what I like to call vanity metrics. So it makes them look good, but it doesn't really help the work. And we're all here for the work. When you think about your metrics, what you measure is huge, because what you're measured on is going to drive all of your work. So whatever is the KPI or the key performance indicator, that is going to be the priority of your team or you. So you want to be really selective about what you measure, and you only want to measure the important things. Now, I want to talk to you about KPIs for annual giving today. I am riled up about this. I love annual giving. I love it so much because it is like the lifeblood of your fundraising program. It brings in a ton of unrestricted dollars. It engages people at all giving levels. It allows people to support the organizations they love, even if they don't have, millions and millions of dollars, they can still engage. And annual giving, it is a beautiful art. It is a beautiful science. And you need both of those things to have a really successful annual giving program. So the KPIs I want to talk to you about today, they are power packed. They are action oriented. They are succinct. And they're not going to require a ton of time, you just sitting at your desk entering data. My perfect amount of KPIs, and this is for really anybody in your department, you should not have more than 5 to 7 KPIs. If once you go on like beyond 7 KPIs, you're really starting to just measure things to measure things. And the more you measure, the more data that's needed to enter into your database. And then that's more time crunching. And then we kind of get into these vanity metrics and, so on and so forth. The last thing you want to do is start to measure things that are going to take you and people on your team away from what actually matters, which is raising money. The other thing I want to talk to you about today is reporting. So when you set your goals, when you think about your KPIs, you want to look at your KPIs on a monthly basis. Now, some can be looked at on a quarterly basis and some are actually annual, but we recommend that you measure them monthly, quarterly, and annually. So there's like this regular temperature check, and you can identify issues and resolve them quickly. I had supervisors in the past. I mean, really, my only metric was, okay, you need to raise $2 million. You need to raise $5 million. And they didn't really care how I spent my time. Just go do it. It's different today. And I kind of wish I would have had those guardrails, like had some really good metrics that just kept me focused on what really mattered. The truth is that I didn't always have those metrics. And because I didn't have those metrics, it was very easy for me to be like, oh, I'm only 3 months in the year. I've got 9 months to raise, $2 million. The 9 months goes really quickly. I mean, you know this. And so if I would have had metrics that said, oh, I need to have this many meetings per quarter, or I need to raise this much per quarter, that would have really helped me understand where I was in comparison to my goals and really kind of level set, frankly. So today I'm going to talk to you about KPIs for your annual giving program. Now, when we talk about annual giving, I'm talking about all the revenue that is below whatever your major gift threshold is. Your major gift threshold could be $25K. It could be $1K, but it's really, we're looking at the lower level donors that usually give multiple times a year. And they are the pipeline to your major gift program. So if you have an annual giving strategy that's not working, and this happens to stall for let's say stalls for 3 years, your major gift officers will struggle for the next 3 years because their pipeline has been cut off. And it's very difficult to find, a 100K donor as their first gift. Annual giving is the way. It is the lifeblood. It's so fun. Okay, let's get to the KPIs. Why postpone joy? The first KPI that I love for annual giving is retention rate. And here's the metric. 50 to 70% of the donor pool is retained from the previous fiscal year. Now, you're probably thinking, whoa. 50 to 70% is huge, and it is huge. But retention is a systemic issue in our sector. It's bad. I mean, the national average right now, depending on the source, it teeters between 39% and 45%. That is atrocious. And I don't want you to strive for what the national average is, because the national average isn't good. I want you to strive for 50 to 70%. If you're retaining more than 70% of your donors, you actually have an acquisition issue. You're not attracting enough new donors. So there's a sweet spot. You really want to be in that 50 to 70% retention rate. And we're not looking at all donors. We're just looking at your annual giving donors. So everything from $1 up to your major gift threshold. Second metric is retention rate for first-time donors. One and done donors are the worst because here's what happens. They're so costly. You get a donor in, they make a $50 gift, or they come to an event, or they find you online and, make a gift in memory of their mother. However they come to you, for the next several years, we mail to them. We send them newsletters. We look at them for prospecting. We run them through wealth screening. We send them solicitation letters. And all of a sudden, that $150 gift has been spent essentially trying to retain this donor. Now, retention, of course, is huge. Retention of your first-time donors is really tough. When you can retain first-time donors, this really works to mitigate attrition at the most critical point in a donor journey. When a donor makes a gift to your organization for the first time, it's kind of like a warm-up gift. It's a test gift. Is this organization going to thank me? Is this organization going to let me know what impact my gift had? Is this organization fiscally responsible and get my acknowledgement letter out to me, or my tax receipts and all the things? One and done donors are so expensive. So the name of the game is retention, specifically with your first-time donors. When they're brand new, they're just, it's a fragile relationship. And I would highly recommend that you build a stewardship strategy specifically for your first-time donors. But the metric here that I love is 40% of first-time donors give again the next fiscal year. And that's not easy. That's going to take multiple strategies, but I promise it will pay off in the long run. Okay, third metric is upgrade rate. So annual giving is all about retention and upgrading, because you want to allow people the opportunity to self-identify as either mid-level donors or as potential major donors. So here's the metric. 33% of retained donors upgrade their total giving from the previous fiscal year. So let's say that I am giving $10 a month, just for easy math here. So that's $120 over the year. you would want me to be one of those people that upgrades their gift. So maybe I move to $20 a month and that doubles my gift. Or this really actually, it really tasks you with looking at tailoring your gift ladders in solicitations. So sometimes shops across the country, they just have these reply devices. They send out these mailings, which is great. Mail still works. It really does. What happens though is they just, like, a $500 donor last year is getting a piece of mail at year end that says, oh, check the box if you want to give $25 or you want to give $50 or $75. Oh no, friends. Every solicitation should be tailored to what they gave the previous year. So if I was a $500 donor and I get my year-end piece solicitation from your organization, I want to see renewing at $500. I want to see what it looks like at $750, potentially $1,000. Whatever the percentage is, the formula that you works for your organization. It's all about the upgrade and the tailored gift ladders in solicitations. And your mail company can help you with this. This is a huge thing. So if you can get 33% of your retained donors to upgrade their total giving from the last fiscal year, you are on the way to success, my friend. Next metric is total raised. Now, every fundraiser needs a goal. You have to have a goal, even your annual giving. I was working in Seattle at a hospital. I was a director of annual giving. I did that for several years, and the major gift threshold was $50,000. So I was responsible. Now I had a team, but I was responsible for everything from $1 up to $49,999. And so while I was soliciting gifts of $10 and $25 and $50,000 gifts, my team was really working on graduating donors up to the mid-level. And then ideally, I would be graduating those donors up to the major gift officers who are wonderful at this organization. But you need a goal. So the goal should include every dollar that's under the major gift threshold, but excludes events. We're really talking about appeals. We're talking web, mail, tributes, even unsolicited gifts. Sometimes it's called white mail. All of these, anything that comes in below the major gift threshold should be counted toward your goal. And if you're running an annual giving department, that goal should be challenging, but attainable. Okay. Next metric, the donor pool. So we have this donor pool, right? These people who love our organization and are giving, but how is that donor pool changing each year? The metric here is that the actual donor pool increases each year. Now that increase is what's important here. I personally like to see the donor pool, the annual giving donor pool, increase by 2 to 4% every single year. The logic is that your annual giving pool, it is the pipeline for major gifts. It's the pipeline for planned giving. It's even the pipeline for potential board members. It is critical to grow the donor pool. This could be acquiring new donors. It could be inspiring your lapsed and your long lapsed donors to give again. But the goal here is really to increase your donor pool by 2 to 4% every single year. This is a metric that not a lot of shops use, but the ones who use it have really strong programs because they understand the journey of annual giving to major giving to planned giving and everything in between. Okay, our final metric for annual giving program is that 25 to 30% of your donors make a second gift in the same fiscal year. Now, I love this one because annual giving isn't about just one gift a year. And I hear a lot of annual giving professionals be like, oh, that person gave over the summer. They shouldn't get a year-end appeal. Oh, fundraiser. We shouldn't make decisions on behalf of our donors. we need to put things out there so that they can respond. It's their choice. So if somebody has given to you, the chances of them giving to you again in the same fiscal year are pretty good. So I really want you to think about 25 to 30% of your annual giving donor pool giving a second annual gift in the fiscal year. This could mean that you could get people to go to monthly giving. It could mean that you have very specific solicitations in the spring and in the fall, and then again at year end. And you're not really making the decision on behalf of the donor that they've already given, so we don't need to send them anything. The trick is allow them, put the power in the people's hands. And I think you'll be surprised at how many donors make a second, third, fourth gift in the same fiscal year. And the beautiful thing about that is that they are self-identifying as being potential mid-level and major gift prospects. So these are exercises that you want to go through with your donors to see who self-selects, who is raising their hand and saying, I want to vote for your amazing organization with my philanthropic dollars. Because those people deserve a parade. Those are my favorite annual giving metrics. But I want to leave you with something else, something that's trendy. And I think of the word trendy and I think, well, that's going to kind of go out of style. And I just don't have a better word. But a trend that is popping up right now that I just think is the coolest thing ever, and brilliant marketing, by the way, is that many organizations are choosing slogans for their annual giving programs. Here's a couple examples. Arizona State University, huge. They have an annual giving campaign, and they use the slogan, "Building a Better Tomorrow." Now, that one, it's very powerful because every dollar counts. Even if you can give $5, you're building a better tomorrow for the institution, for future students, for your children, for anybody that comes in contact with Arizona State University. But it's brilliant because what happens is you can start to use those in your stories. You can start to bring the slogan to life. All of your marketing can be around building a better tomorrow. Like, it gives you a reason to reach out to people. It gives you branding that people are kind of part of a program. One of the things that's going out of style is creating donor societies. Because what happens is you start to market like, oh, you're part of this society and you're part of this society, and people can't keep it straight. Like, you don't want them to remember what society they're part of when they think of your organization. You want them to think of all the amazing things that your organization does. So instead of having a donor society, I would urge you to think about an annual giving campaign slogan that you use for the next 5 years. University of Texas at Austin, they have an amazingly powerful annual giving campaign, and it's called What Starts Here. Amazing. I mean, it could be I'm just making this up. What starts here changes the world. What starts here starts with you. What starts here, fill in the blank. Like, it's a really cool thing. And it just allows you to brand and gives you things to talk about. And it really spices up your annual giving program. So I wanted to put that out there because I just think it's very cool. And it's just a little tip that I've kind of been watching, and I'm somewhat fascinated by this. Okay, fundraiser, as always, I hope you didn't write things down while you listen to this podcast. There's a download that you can go to the show notes and you can download my favorite KPIs for annual giving. There are 6 KPIs, and it just, you just put your email in, get a little download, and then you'll have that for your annual giving program. All right, fundraiser, until next time. Hey, fundraiser, thanks so much for being here today. Did you know that we create a special page for each episode that has helpful links, episode highlights, standout quotes, and freebies? Check it out in today's episode description. If you loved what you heard today, would you kindly give us a rating and review? It really helps other fundraising professionals find our Hey Fundraiser community. I'm Mary Hackett, and thank you for listening.